time to look at the stories making headlines in Nigerian newspapers. With me in the studio is Public Affairs Analyst Rasak Olokooba. Rasak, good morning.
Mike, good morning.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers at home.
Great. And on Skype from Abeokuta, Ifekayode Akimbode, journalist and media consultant, joins us there from there. Good morning, Ifekayode.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Comrade Rasak. How are
Thank
you?
you.
Great.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. Okay, let's begin from the Blueprint newspaper now. Blueprint newspaper says, legal experts to Buhari, your 15-month trial proposal can't work. Your 15-month trial proposal can't work. Judges killing themselves, going through cases. Ex-CJ Ilori is saying this. And from judicial perspective, it's not achievable. Hajiya Ahamba are all saying this. And Oshibajo not convinced on president's position either. Okay. Awomola is saying that. And let Buhari match words with actions. Funding lowest under him. Is on ex-CJ saying this. And Evolve Solutions, BMO task stakeholders on this as well. Okay. I recall that the president was making a recommendation of trying to ensure that cases are dispensed with within a period of time. All right, that's a Blueprint newspaper. Daily Times is next now. Recession looms amid debt crisis. Forex scarcity, others. Recession looms amid debt crisis. Forex scarcity, as well as others. Leadership is where we're going next now. Leadership says needless crisis cost APC elective offices. As President Muhammadu Buhari is saying this, will no longer condone deviant behavior. Buni warns members, and Oshibajo heads party's consultative committee. Okay, that's all on the Leadership newspaper. National Economy. National Economy is next now, and it says on import substitution, federal government to end importation of metallurgical raw materials. As Nigeria spends 1.9 trillion naira on metals imports annually. Wow. Okay, from the National Economy, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust newspaper says discordant tunes over school resumption. Federal government warns states against hasty reopening. It's suicidal to reopen universities. That ASU is saying this. And Osun set to reopen as Lagos disowns resumption calendar. Mixed reactions by students here and there. Okay, I guess this will interest everyone, and even my guests in the studio. We'll talk about this as we open discussion shortly. And that's Daily Trust. Now going to News Direct, which is the last one now. Buhari Oshibajo meet Pastor Adeboye amid Kama controversy. Okay, Buhari Oshibajo meet Pastor Adeboye amid Kama controversy. All right. That's what you see there. Now, Rasak, let's get to the story that will interest Nigerians here. Discordant tunes over school resumption. This is the story on the Daily Trust. Now, if you see from stories and reports from different states, especially like in Lagos, for instance, there was a report credited to the governor fixing likely dates for resumption of schools, primary schools and secondary schools. And a lot of people were skeptical somehow. They were, But what do you make? Why do we have discordant tunes? It seems the federal government, the state governments are not working in tandem.
The crisis of COVID-19 came so suddenly that nobody prepared for it. We will prepare for epidemic, and state countries on their own will sort it out. But it's a global trend that each country bears its own brunt. So it makes it difficult for it to go as soon as we had wished. And because of that, people develop various patterns in their own approach. For instance, the country and the world are to reopen because it is production that gives you what you consume. If you don't produce, you can't consume. So we recognize the danger of not reopening. So we took the risk, reopen, so that production can continue because our reserves is beginning to thin out all over the world. Reserve for food, reserve for energy is thinning out because there's no production. The same thing in school. You can't shut the school out forever. What people like us will advise is to weigh the timeline that has been given by scientists of when the vaccine is going to come out. If it is an endless time, that means we may find out a way of reopening our school. But if it is assured that because most of the vaccines, what the mandate we got from them was that do it as soon as possible. We gave them, but the report they gave us back was that it can't be as soon as we expected. The shortest of the vaccine, based on the research and what we follow, is that this vaccine is going to come out in the next 2 months, which is October, November. Some say December, some say January. And if that is the case, it is not too much for the students to wait. To lose a calendar year, it's better to lose a calendar year than to lose your life. Okay. But like you have said, that see, a life of children is planned, and if a crisis like this rearranges, it's going to affect them down the line, and that is what I think Lagos had in mind. That with the population of students that we have staying at home, to reopen again is going to be a giga. So that's why they want to start a gradual reopening, in my own estimation.
Okay, let me bring Ife Kayode in here. Now, like Rasak said, and everyone knows, this pandemic has affected every country of the world. And Nigeria is at the point where whatever decision or whatever move Nigeria makes, there are so many other countries looking up to how Nigeria is handling issues, just like many countries look up to the United States, how they handle their issues. A country like Kenya, for instance, as at 2 months ago, already canceled the 2020 academic year. And they said their schools, give or take, will begin from January next year. They have already taken that decisive step to make resolutions like that. But here in Nigeria, we're still going back and forth, trying to weigh a lot of things, and it doesn't seem to give direction. What do you say?
Well, first and foremost, let me commend the Nigerian government and, of course, commend various state governments' intervention in this handling of the pandemic, most especially the Lagos state government, as the incident commander, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. They have demonstrated capacity, they have demonstrated leadership, and must singularly commend the Honorable Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi in Lagos. He has done tremendously well. We have seen gradual decline in cases. Some say that they have reduced testing capacity, but I say that God has intervened in some very funny way, and that things are getting better. On the resumption of school, let me also advise and join Comrade Olokooba that we should not be in a hurry. You know, like most data analysts have said that some countries of the world, when they got a decline and they resumed, the pandemic came back quickly. We should take our time. There's no need for us to rush. This is September. Naturally, this is a new academic calendar. We should just tarry a while and allow us to monitor for another 1 or 2 months, pending, when we can get valuable vaccines, especially for the little children, and the vulnerables. There is no basis for us to rush anymore. This year is gone already. We can only pray that we survive, and we have survived. So going forward, what we need to do is that we must create synergy between the PTF and various state governments in times of resumption. Don't forget that there are interstate movements between various states. So even if you have low record of the pandemic in your state, there is movement of goods and services from one state to another. And the tendency, to contract it is very, very high. So we should be very careful. We should be very mindful. We should also, allow that synergy to stand. That's exactly the way to go.
Okay. Rasak, the point there is, when it comes to school examinations taken from primary schools and the ones taken by secondary schools, they seem to be universal, as in the final exams. So reopening schools in a discordant tunes, in that how does it impact, or how challenging is it for all of the states to come together? Although the level or the involvement or the level of how COVID-19 is endemic is different from state to state. But the point there is, when it comes to speaking in one voice towards ensuring that we continue this unified template, how challenging is that?
Well, first and foremost, Lagos has established an impressive pattern in terms of the fight against COVID-19. And I think that is what the government is banking on, that we have an established tie, that it is workable for us, that is okay. Professor Abarami has recovered as soon as if it was yesterday they got it. So that's an indication that they are in a firm control. Well, like you have said, I can't go with at the same pace with you. Even elections of some states didn't hold the time other general elections are holding. There are moments when countries suspend a calendar year to rewrite their curriculum, when the curriculum is no longer in tune with the country's culture, aspirations, and values. They suspend it, and they do another curriculum for them. So this is also not a different period for us to also say that we want to lose the calendar year. Many people are beginning to even come to the conclusion that this year is gone, that we should tarry a while. But you know, a country that needs to replace the productive all Nigeria. So if you analyze, we must also remember that the peculiar situation that Lagos finds itself, so that we will be able to say that we can understand if Lagos takes the decision that we should reopen our economy, we should reopen our schools. So, but by and large, let us continue to do what I do. Mask, social distance, as a way of reducing the spread. Thank God Lagos is reducing. Lagos is no longer first in the list again. So that's thought of 59, because we must watch what is happening as a member of the civil society. We are following it. So by and large, what we should do is that either school reopen, either they didn't reopen, we must continue to obey the advice of the health officers. Then on school resumption, finally, to be able to cap it up, I think we should do a midway thing. Let us tarry a while for what, because I read a report this month, a very shocking report, that Lagos distance itself away from the report that school is going to reopen. If that is the case, that means the whole controversy over whether they are resuming or not has been put to rest. The first person is coming out. Let's hope and pray that it works. If it works, everything can open up at the same time, so that we can begin to live our life the way we are living it.
It's
before.
okay, but certainly you know that if the vaccine is out, it's going to take a long while before it gets across the world.
They will magnify it. mass production.
I like that Nigerian spirit, that Nigerian faith. All right, now, Ifeka, talking about the issue of curriculum, I've heard 2 or 3 teachers who are saying that, who recommend that we can decide to, since the pandemic has come, we can decide to begin a fresh school calendar and with a new curriculum from January, so that it becomes a January to December school calendar, so that we jettison what we have been using, or the template we've been using all the while. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that is peculiar, and I think that the situation we found ourselves actually demand for such. For instance, in Ogun State, Prince Akpabio-led administration had made that decision, midway into the crisis of this pandemic, and that, the second term for the secondary school just ended before the crisis started, and they have cancelled the third term. They are resuming a new academic calendar. That is the way to go. Now, those are the basis indices for taking such decision. This year is gone, as far as I'm concerned. So there is no basis for us. Let's start afresh. Let's start a new academic calendar that will be uniform to everybody. Because a lot of, ground has been lost, a lot of things that, a lot of people have died. And so by all indices, by all parameters, the only way to go is to start afresh. And if you ask me, I will advise the education policy formulators to start by January. So the next 4 months will not kill anybody. The economy can run, but the school resumption and education can wait. I will start a fresh calendar by January, which will be uniform. And that before December, the vaccine would have been ready, the schools would have been fully prepared, a lot of people would have been healed. And by that time, I believe that the curve would have been completely flattened. And then we can be rest assured that our children will be safe, healthy, and healthy by that time. That's my belief.
Let's head straight to the papers now, and I begin with the blueprint. Legal experts to Buhari, your 15-month trial proposal can't work. Judges killing themselves going through cases. Ex-CJ speaking there, from judicial perspective, it's not achievable. And Oshibajo not convinced on president's position either. All right, some positions have been expressed on the front page of the blueprint. We will be looking at that story shortly. All right, we'll move straight to the front page of the Daily Times. The recession looms amid debt crisis, forex scarcity, others. And to the front page of the Leadership newspaper now, needless crisis cost APC elective offices. President Muhammadu Buhari will no longer condone deviant behavior. Buni warns members. Oshibajo heads party's consultative committee. All right, let's go to the front page of the National Economy. Import substitution. Federal government to end importation of metallurgical raw materials as Nigeria spends 1.9 trillion naira on metals import annually. All right, to the front page of the Daily Trust, discordant tunes over school resumption. Federal government warns states against hasty reopening. It's suicidal to reopen universities. ASU are soon set to reopen as Lagos disowns resumption calendar. Mixed reactions by students. And finally, on the front page of the News Direct, Buhari, Oshibajo meets Pastor Adeboye amid Karma controversy. All right, gentlemen, let's look at the story on the front page of the blueprint, talking about the recent reform the president was proposing, talking about cases, criminal cases being resolved between 12 to 15 months. And the legal experts are here now talking about how it's not possible that it won't work. Legal experts are saying that the proposal won't work. They say judges are killing themselves going through cases, and from the judicial perspective, it is not achievable. I'll start with you, Ifekayode. This reforms, with all of this expression coming from legal experts, where does it leave the reform the president is proposing?
Well, it's a proposal, and then proposals are bound to go through a lot of checks from all the critical stakeholders, the Nigerian Bar Association, the Nigerian Judicial Commission, the Council of Senior Benchers would have to us. But you see, in Nigeria, criminal trial is not as easy as we think. A lot of factors goes into trials, criminal trials in Nigeria, from the police to their investigation, to the timeline for the investigations, to lawyers themselves, because a lot of legal impediments. I've witnessed a lot of criminal trials, and I've covered that as a reporter. I've seen that it takes a whole lot, to try criminal issues in Nigeria. The police will delay before they arrange the suspect, and then when they arrange the suspect, they will still continue to look for evidence, and then the judges have a lot of things on their table. So 15-month trial to me is, with all the challenges that we have, how would they do it? They are underfunded, they don't have independent source of fund, and then they have to wait and rely on government support, to fund, court. Sometimes when you're in court, they don't have lights, and then judicial workers can go on strike, and all of these factors will not make that 15 months realizable. If they are going to do it, a lot of issues will be resolved. And probably they're going to create an independent court of criminal trials, and special judges are assigned to take such responsibilities like they do for financial crimes. But if it is just the normal conventional courts with the workload of the judges, 15 months to me is unvisible, and all the critical stakeholders must be involved to take a position on the way forward.
All right, let's bring the conversation to the studio now. Rasak, stemming from what Ifekayode is saying, he's saying that with the whole stakeholders have to be involved to arrive at a conclusion on how we can even bring about the reforms that we are talking about. From what he has said, I wonder what your position is. This for most legal experts, it is something that is they appreciate, but achieving it is a challenge. What do you see as a major challenge that has to be handled if we want to look at moving in this direction?
The popular opinion is that cases in this country are unnecessarily delayed.
Unnecessarily delayed?
Particularly cases that need just pronouncement in the court for us to have judgment. For instance, crimes, financial crimes, that has been ascertained by agencies in the ministry that there's a fraud established. All they need to do is to pronounce into the court that you are guilty. Such cases should not be taking time. Look at the way public fund is being filtered away. And generations that are coming behind, they see any consequence. And that's the concern society is having about it, that why are criminals working free? You give them chief fancy title after the court case, and they live for 10 years before you now ask him to go to jail for 6 months or fine. It's not acceptable from the judiciary. I am paying salaries of the judiciary. I mean, Nigerians are paying their salary from the tax. They should reform the judiciary in such a way that Nigerians will be happy with them. If they have a challenge, this is a golden opportunity for them to present it before the president. They are underfunded. All you need to do is not to be negative about it. You have to be positive about it. All you need to do is to list out the challenges. One of it is underfunding, understaffing, because from one of the comments, a judge said that the judges are killing themselves over reading report of cases, submissions, which means we need to employ more judges. We need to build more courts. We can't have the numbers of courts we have 20 years ago.
And that's in this same report, some of them also claim that before the approvals are made for the judges that you have, appointment of judges that you have mentioned, the bureaucracy involved is also something that has
This is a golden opportunity for them to point it out. Yes, it's achievable. In fact, 10 months is achievable. That's what we should be earning from judges. But these are the hindrances that you may face. These are the challenges, the portal you may face. And don't come back later to say that it's the judges that are delaying. The judges should remove the blame from the table of the judiciary and spread it to every sector that have their own challenges, like the police. The police will provide evidences that are not at times they will not bring the accused. So all these things is an opportunity for the judiciary to be able to get the attention of the president. Before now, president is not talking about this kind of proposal.
Reform, yeah.
But once he's saying it, of course we know that there are challenges. We know it's not because the judges don't want judgment to come up. We know the challenges that you are facing. And we also know that executive is very central to resolving all these crises.
Absolutely, and that's where I was going to take my next question to Ifekayade, talking about the role of the executive at achieving these reforms, because that is where the buck stops. Because we have been talking about judicial reforms over the years. From the body language of the executive, do we really have the political will to ensure, are we showing it? Are we moving in the direction of ensuring that the reforms that we have been speaking about is something that we are looking to properly put in place moving forward?
Well, I'm not the spokesperson of this government, and I know that for the executive arm of government to even propose the law reform is actually commendable. What they need to do, like Comrade Olokooba said, is that there must be the political will to ensure that it works. And how do you make the political will to make it work? Just like I submitted earlier, is that all the critical stakeholders are involved. Look, criminal trials are not essentially the problem of the judges. I have seen during criminal trials in court where the police will refuse to bring the suspect to court. And when they bring the suspect to court, they do not present sufficient, they do not present sufficient evidences before the court. And look, the court is not a Father Christmas. The judge is not a Father Christmas. No matter how you feel that this person has committed this crime, if you do not present sufficient evidence before a trial judge, he has nothing to do. He cannot just jail anybody because people assume the person has committed a crime. The police must be efficient in their duty by providing sufficient evidences before the trial judge, before a pronouncement is made. It's a court. Don't also forget that during trials, there are lawyers who deliberately stall criminal trials. They will appeal 1 or 2 points and go to appeal court, and they will stand down that criminal trial for a long time pending the determination of some points at the appeal court. So such legal impediments through the legal reform must come to place for us to have. That was said, all the critical stakeholders must be involved. The lawyers, the police, everybody must be involved so that, and the political will of the executive will come into place before we can talk about time frame for criminal trials in Nigeria.
All right, let's your final word, Rasak, on this issue, especially as this is a major aspect that has to be, when we talk about the last hope of the common man, the judiciary is key to it, and we have seen different issues that has been arising. Even yesterday, we have reports of a new NBA and all of that. How critical is this reform when you're talking about the last hope, it being the last hope of the common man?
Well, that's a very beautiful caption, that the last hope. It brings depression when you go to court with the intention that you are going to have redress, and the case lingers for 20 years. You become depressed, and doesn't inspire other people to go to court again, that there's nothing in court, you won't have anything. So it doesn't make the society to look civilized if the judiciary is not on its feet. And just like what Ifeka said, the will is important. There are penalties for judges that delayed cases unnecessarily. Penalty for police that does what Ifeka said. It's the will. When there's a will, all those people who are responsible for delaying of cases, we want them to also be penalized. And that's why the judges, the judiciary becomes very, very important. Crimes will fester if there are no consequences. We will continue to steal our money. The public officials would not be doing what they are supposed to be doing if there are no penalties. So I am in support of the president on this. We want to encourage the judicial sectors to rise up to the occasion. Whatever challenge they have, this is an opportunity for them to be able to discuss with the president. If it is the police, it's under the executive. And the proposal is coming from the president. Discuss it with the president. If there are challenges that's coming from the parliament that need an enabling law to further empower them, discuss with the president and the parliament. If you are underfunded, the executive has the pen of the red bell for approval. Discuss with the president. If you need more judges, if you need more court, we must not miss this opportunity if we want to have our society back. We have to rise up to it, we have to claim it, and we have to be in support of what the president has proposed.
All right, Rasak Olokooba, thank you so much. Ifeka Akimbode, thank you as well for your time on the newspaper review this morning.
My pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being with you.
All right, Mike, you have heard our guest talking about the reforms in the judiciary. Legal experts are saying that it is a good initiative, but not feasible with the way things are.
Yeah. Well, the point there is everybody just expects, at the end of the day, there is an expectation and there is a hope, either from government or from judiciary or from Nigerians, that something has to be done so that justice can be done and done well.